another spokesperson that wants to step to the job, by the way.
Who wants Josh?
Anybody else want to step up?
Josh is stepping up. He's like, I gotta get out from behind this camera.
It's a deeper question, so you know, if you need help, just tag somebody.
And anybody else can come into it too.
Yeah.
Love it.
What school you go to? Clinton. All right, I live in Clinton. So people can't So okay, so I got a question about journalism, and Donna said something about 21st century journalism. So I guess my question to you, especially the Snapchat generation. Okay, so do you agree or disagree? Is journalism now? It's the headline for now and the story for later.
I'm glad I didn't get that question.
Oh,
You can tag somebody else if you want, but
Yep,
So wait, what was the question again?
it's the headline for now and it's the story for later.
I feel like journalism now is it's a very broad subject, but I feel like now anybody can call themselves a journalist, and any news outlet can consider themselves journalism. When I'm scrolling down Twitter, down like a huge international newspaper, and I see something about Kylie Jenner's new lip kit, like it doesn't make sense. But I'm like, okay, she got more lip injections. Why is this news? So I feel like a lot of news now that we get is very irrelevant. And in order to get real media, in order to get real stories that will actually matter, you have to dig a lot deeper than you should.
Okay. And I guess the follow-up to that is when I say it's the story for later, I kind of wonder, like when I say the headlines for now, a lot of people talk like they have full knowledge on stuff because they saw a tweet or a Facebook post or whatever. They just saw the little headline, and that's all they see. Like, Kearney Sutton's got some J's today. You know, he got some J's. He paid $200 for it, and they didn't even read the story that I bought it for somebody else, It's like, and when I say the stories for later, like, are people actually reading stories now, or do they have like a research project and they have to go back and it's like, oh, this is history.
No, sometimes I'm guilty that I see a headline and then I run with it and I go back and read the story and I was like, wait, scratch what I just said. That's not. Yeah, I feel like a lot of times headlines are very misleading. If you look at, even when we talk about the difference, the equality between white and black when it comes to media, you can see even the way they word things when it comes down to white and blacks. Just like with the Stanford rapists, they were like, ex-Stanford star is accused of the assault of, instead of just saying he's a rapist. Meanwhile, another guy in New York, I think he was in New York, and he just graduated, he finally graduated from high school, he finally graduated from college, he was like in his 60s, and they're like former drug dealer, this, when it has absolutely nothing to do with the story. So,
that's media literacy.
It all goes with your integrity piece that Donna was talking about, but that's one of the most irritating things about the online world these days is the headlines are basically, many of them are clickbait just for the ads, whatever they're selling. So are you guys fighting that trend or trying to, or are you being taught to put better headlines out that are a little more descriptive, or how are you dealing with that?
we had like a whole speaker come in and talk about, responsible journalism and how to tell both sides of the story and not just a one-sided narrative. So a lot of times you see in the media, they'll let you know this one little broad subject and it'll be totally different from what the headline says. Or they'll try to make you think something before you actually read it. So then you can go run with that idea, spread that idea before you actually get the meat of the story. So we're taught So we're taught to do both sides of the story and don't be misleading and let everyone know what it really is.
I think he got to follow up.
I think that one of the biggest things about YMP is that we're not trying to just get stories out and pump stories out. We're doing solutions sort of journalism, where you look at something and figure out what the problem is, and you come up with a solution, and you write a story about it. So we're not just making headlines and trying to get clicks on Instagram and social media. We're actually looking at it from a unique perspective, a youth perspective, and we're coming up with solutions and writing stories based on that.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I have another question. Everybody else has a question. I just don't like the space. So if anybody else has a question, tell me. I'll stop. Pause it. solutions piece, okay, so question. So there's a problem, everybody can see the problem. And so you want to have a solution for the problem, right? So are the solutions that you all are writing about, are these your solutions, or if this is a community piece, are these solutions from the community?
I think we're looking at solutions from other communities that have had some of the same problems that we have, and what they've done to solve theirs, and we sort of piece those together. And like with the transportation issues, we look at other people's how they had the same problem, where people in certain neighborhoods couldn't get to the jobs, so they were remaining unemployed, and then they found solutions, and we're kind of writing our stories based off neighborhoods like ours.
Can I encourage something then? Can I encourage, like, the bus solution is a good example. I guess, and y'all are probably doing this, but I guess I would encourage y'all to also try to draw solutions from the community, because sometimes what happens is, like, people are, like people like to talk about young people, out people in the room.
Yeah.
And I guess it could be a similar situation, like if you have a bus story and, you see a problem, and you go to different communities around and say, oh, this is their solution, without talking with somebody that rides the J-train here and asking them, because they may have a solution that nobody listens to.
Right.
And so that you all could be that voice for that person.
Well, I think we are doing some of that. Like, for instance, we're talking about, the Washington Convention and poverty, and taking responsibility for our own communities, and we're looking at, like, for instance, George Elementary is doing a fantastic job with stuff like that. And so things that are working here, we will talk about.
And I love that you're not reinventing the wheel, because everything that's out there should be used as your resource. There's no sense spending time and energy on doing absolutely fresh things when there's a lot of solutions already. For instance, so the Kauffman Foundation, this 1 million cups meets, there's 70 plus, 75 of these, but I had the privilege to go to the Kauffman Foundation in October and went to a community. It's a startup community with an incubator, and when I did, they had biking as a solution for people, where there was a space that bikes were rented and dropped off. You don't purchase, you borrow, and that I don't know if that would be a solution for this area, because we don't have the biking pass that we need, but we've got initiatives going on that are actually, we're trying to get that biking community going, so that could be a source of, maybe you guys want to tap into that and see how that's working. It's just one of many ideas that I'd love, and I'd like to introduce you guys to a couple of people. I don't know if any of you know Fred Burns. Anybody know Fred Burns? He was a local Jacksonian. Long story short is he was homeless, became valedictorian, graduated from JSU as an engineer, now working at American Airlines. And he's given back to the community, but he's not just giving, he's mentoring. And he loves projects like this. And another guy, Tyrone Keys, professional football player, 85 Bears, that is now in Tampa. He also played for Tampa Bay Bucks. And he's doing, it's through sports and not journalism, but he's taking what he knows and offering it to the community and mentoring kids. So he comes into town every once in a while. I would love, next time he comes in town, to get him to talk to you all, and you provide what you're looking for, and he's got ideas all the time. And his mom and dad still live here, so he does come home often.
That's fabulous. In
Yeah.
fact, one of the things that probably should have been on that slide, but it goes without saying, are connections.
Oh, sure.
We're looking for connections
Networking is
constantly.
huge.
Yeah, and part of what we're also trying to do is to get people to think about what they can do with their own expertise. Kind of
Right.
what I said.
Right.
So because we do journalism, we can also write about people doing other kinds of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, because the idea is that what is out there, and we had talked to the mayor about this. We're going to have a story that talks about some of this soon. But that one of the problems we think Jackson has, as far as helping, let's say the 225, just as a symbol, is that there are a lot of things going on, but there are holes in the net, and how many of the programs and such are getting to the young people who will likely be at the most risk of high crime. You see what I mean? Because even this report found that a lot of people kind of just give up on those kids,
Right.
or assume they're dangerous, or whatever, and so they don't bring them into it. So some of it is to figure out what, over the long view, we won't be able to do all this summer because it's going fast. But over the long view, we want to put together, and we want to write about the various things that are there and write about what's missing. So we're writing about the things going on in the community, asking community people, such as in the Washington edition and other places, what do you need? And is someone providing it, so that it becomes this way, and that's what the best media does anyway, is connects different groups of people, like people who can do this with people who need this. And so that's kind of that's a long range goal of the project, is to be able to do that.
And you know, having this as an opportunity for these kids, like kind of something that you mentioned, had this been here when you were growing up, you might not have gone off. But the brain drain that they call it, they met at Hal and Mal's last week. Unfortunately, I was unable to go, but I'm sure somebody's was there. But we're trying to come up with some new ideas that keep you guys here, because we know we want you here. You know, this is a community, Jackson I'm talking about. You know, we're actually a college town that nobody knows is a college town. And when we offer these things for people to stay, then we've got what we need to keep the brains from leaving, and it's important.
And the one thing I would say there is that a lot of the stuff that's offered through brain drain type things aren't targeting these guys.
Well, that's a problem.
This age.
That's a
and
problem.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
They're about,
College,
let's keep our college students, let's keep our young professionals.
Right.
And then a lot of nonprofit programs are for younger kids, which are needed. But hey, you know, it's like that's part of our point.
Well, so what if we could get you guys to a brain drain meeting before your summer ends, so that you can tell them what you're doing and how you think it could help with the brain drain? Because you can't start after college.
Y'all know
They've
what
already
she
started
means.
looking.
Everybody familiar with brain drain? It's just this idea, just in case anybody isn't, it's this idea of just that smart Mississippians run off and go somewhere else instead of staying here and starting businesses and et cetera, et cetera.
Especially the many that leave the state for the first time and go to an out-of-state school and see what the real world can be like.
And the diversity and the opportunity.
Right.
But there's stuff happening. There's something brewing right here, and I'm so glad to see you guys a part of it. You really are a part of it, whether you know you are or not.
Say briefly, one of the reasons that I encourage them to do 1 million cups is we really do see ourselves as a startup. It's not, I don't even know if I'm how involved I'm going to be in it, but I'm there.
He doesn't know how.
But already this is a product of the synergies that have happened with Coalesce and with 1 million cups. So you can see up on that board the people who were already helping with this. And I think that if we can think of for one thing, if we can sustain YMP, it's a startup, but it's a nonprofit startup, so it's going to be a different revenue stream, and we've got to deal with that. But if that does happen, and when that does happen, we want to make sure that the entire downtown Jackson incubated startup community is aware of it, sees it as both a resource and a project that they can be a part of, so that we get more of the kind of great help that we've already gotten from Hot Astery and Good and Phoenix Rising. We don't, I know a little bit about video, and I don't have a lot of time to train it. Donna doesn't know a thing about video. She yells at me all the time about that. She's like, why are you doing video? So having these experts come in and help has been huge to the expansion of the program. And I think it can be a pretty important downtown Jackson thing if we can sustain YMP.
You know, I'm fond of saying that we've probably at least quadrupled the number of teenagers downtown this summer, at least. Now, and one thing I would like to say, ask the teens, if that's okay, if I can ask them a question, is somebody address what it's been like being downtown, positive or negative? Yes, ma'am.
I like the fact that everything is in reach and you can walk wherever. Like, it's a lot more stuff downtown and people think I really wish it was more people walking downtown, in other cities, but I still like it because it's kind of peaceful and it's just a lot of stuff downtown, like a lot of good restaurants and places that people don't even know. Like a lot of my friends, I tell them about a lot of places and they're like, I didn't even know we had that. I was like, yeah, I should just come downtown.
You got something, Jennifer?
I think downtown it's been a pretty enlightening experience. When we go out for lunch, it's like so beautiful in the city with the sun shining and just seeing the governor's mansion, just walking around. It's a pretty nice experience because I didn't know you can kind of get that peaceful sereneness here in Jackson. So it's pretty nice.
Give a hand on that.
Yeah, I'm from Rankin, so I've never really seen super tall buildings before. exposure to downtown, because I don't think like no one, like where I come from, nobody don't know this is what downtown look like if you ask me, because then they'll be down here. When I went to Texas, I was like passing by a lot of big buildings. I was telling myself, man, I don't know if we had it in Jackson. And then I come back and see buildings like I'm like, I ain't where I was. I was just saying. So I feel like if more people only knew what was down here, like when we go to lunch, like she said, when we go to lunch, we go to different places. Like we experiencing something different. Like we in a whole nother place, and not like we're in Jackson. So.
Zeke and I went to lunch the other day. If you don't mind me telling the story, we were walking back, and he's like, there was an alley, right there, and he's like, something like, I thought they only had alleys in New York City or something,
Every time I see an alley, it sounds like Spider-Man or something.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So I have a new appreciation for that alley now. It's like, because it's like, and what we were talking about, that was funny, but then we talked about it a little bit. You were talking about how it's sad that more young people don't see downtown.
Yeah, nobody, they see the rest of Jackson.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I think what's really important is that you were saying here is that when you get to downtown Jackson, you don't want to leave. It's not like everybody here wants to leave Jackson, but there's such a negative narrative around it. Jackson's bad. Jackson has crime. There's no opportunity in Jackson. And our purpose here is kind of, let's change that narrative. And it's, what we're doing, what other people are doing. As much as we can talk about good things happening here, people will stay. Because it's not like people hate Jackson.
And then they stay, and then they start solving the problems and shopping and spending money and all those other things. So let's go to Asia.
I think one of my favorite parts about this program, about being in the YMP office, is because it's like, I've been in Mississippi all my life, and I've never been, I've been in the downtown area, but I've never been in this area right here. And my favorite part of the day is going to lunch, not just because I get to eat, but because I get to get outside and I get to walk around and I get to experience parts of Jackson that I didn't even know. Like I think the other day we were going to like this Chinese restaurant and we walked by this garden, which was so beautiful. I wanted to eat there, but I don't think we could. And it was just really nice, and that's why I love coming down here, is because this part of Jackson is something I don't get to see every day.
Free lemonade at St. Andrews.
Yeah.
I was going to add to that. Y'all bring a lot of. I actually work in Capital. I seen y'all in the elevator, a lot of y'all. But I remember recently I was in the elevator with her because we were in the elevator going downstairs.
I think we were.
And all we heard was boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it was like that doesn't sound.
And we looked at each other like that doesn't sound good. But y'all do bring a good energy to downtown. I appreciate it.
I think somebody else's hand.
I know, but like he was saying about crime. Well, like every big city, every relevant big city, like everywhere has crime. They just like, I don't know why they focus on it so much here. Like we got other stuff. You need to focus on like what he was saying, like. And I hate how I really hate how a lot of young people and my friends do not know what's downtown Jackson. And I'm always down here, like I've always been downtown Jackson. Like since I was young, I've always knew it was a lot of stuff down here, and I try to explain it to my friends. They're like, I'm trying to leave Jackson. I'm like, it's so much good stuff here though. And
Well, I've got a small shameless plug. So one of my clients is Visit Jackson, used to be the Jackson Convention and Visitors Bureau, and it's up to us to talk about what's happening in Jackson and the travel space, particularly, and attractions and things that are going on. I was blown away when I started last October of all the stuff that is happening, the festivals, the events, the arts. It's amazing. So I'm going to recommend that you go to visitjackson.com. But in addition, we're coming up with a new website. So I'm hopefully, your calendar of events is way better than what we have. So I steal stuff off your page and put it on our Facebook and elsewhere. But that being said, we also have a digital visitor's guide that is really good. And you can come right down to our office and get one. I'll even drop them off because I will. I'll get you. I'll bring them by. I'll bring them by this afternoon. Okay. Sure will.
See the space.
And I would love to do that because you guys would love what's going on.
Lucky 13.
Yeah.
We got like one more minute, but I do want to what you're saying and what all of y'all saying. I guess my thing with that is, especially nowadays when it comes to video news, like news on the broadcast news, like how people feel about Jackson, and I'm assuming this is a major assumption, especially in y'all generation. It's less about what's on the TV. It's more about your circle. So how you feel about Jackson, how your circle feels about Jackson. And you'd be surprised that if, like, I mean, I know at one point when I was heavy in social media, I kind of stepped back a lot. But I didn't realize I was posting what I was doing, and then I had a friend out in Texas. She was like, "Man, you make Jackson look so cool," and I was just posting what I did, you know. But her whole perception of Jackson was based on what she was seeing me put out there. So just remember, just share your experiences with other people, and don't let them pull you into this Jackson is bad kind of mentality, because that's people like to talk about negative. It's, for some reason, it's a feel good for them.
I know,
And they
fix
need-
it.
Yeah,
It's not
negative-
complaining, fix it.
Negative is what the press focuses on these days. That's their attention getter, their
Well, that's their
ratings and all that
clickbait.
stuff.
That's
Right,
Yeah.
that's true, and we just have always gone a different direction. Yeah, we're gonna write about crime, but we're gonna write about crime in a way of what can we do to stop it, you know, and all of these other engagement things. And one thing I didn't say to y'all that's diversity is really important to us, and when I say that, I don't just mean ethnic diversity, I mean economic diversity, geographic diversity. We ended up this summer without private school kids, even though we often have private school interns and YMP teams, just the way it worked out. And we really want to spread and we want to get beyond black and white. We want to have, and Elia is helping us in the Latino front, you know, in recruitment, you know, Asians, Native Americans. I mean, we really want to grow this project every possible direction. So one of the things that y'all can do for us is help out with that. You know, high income, low income, all different kinds of backgrounds, because y'all talked about the circle. I mean, we want a wide circle so that people are learning from each other's experiences, and that's what's going on here. You know, and so we want that to reach in whatever way as many people as possible, so everybody can help us do that.
Yeah, I feel like a big problem with Mississippi and people who live in Mississippi, we don't recognize and acknowledge the history that's around us every day. Even just us walking downtown or visiting not just Jackson, but surrounding cities like Natchez and Vicksburg, like all of the deep history that actually lies there that we don't even go see. We go travel overseas to see some things when, you know, you can go down the highway, you'll be in Vicksburg, you know, at the site of different Civil War, you know, big things. And I know one time I was at, what's that, I think it's Windsor Ruins. I think I was on my way to Alcorn or something like that. And we stopped there and we saw some people and they had like such a heavy accent. I was just like, what is this? And so they spoke a little bit of English and they were like, we're from, I forgot, it's like some Spanish country. And they came to America and we were like, why are y'all here? Like, what are you doing here? And they were just like, you know, we're doing like our little U.S. sightseeing tour. And one of our main places that we spend a lot of days at is in Mississippi. And in my head, I'm like, why are you in Mississippi? And they were like, it's so many, like we've read so much about these different sites. We want to get a picture in front of this. We want to get a picture in front of that. And you know, I'm from Natchez, so when they go down Natchez, they're taking pictures and stuff. I'm like, why y'all taking pictures? Like, this is what I pass by every day. When you actually go back